Okay, all right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So, every once in a while you take a shot and you get a game on a whim, it's on sale, and it turns out to be one of the greatest games that you've never heard about, right? King Arthur Knight's Tale. I got this game on sale, 20 bucks. It's on sale right now on PS5. It's a couple years old apparently. I've never heard about this game. Okay, I guess I just saw it, picked it up. It is so good. This game, it's such a good game. I had to put a video out just talking about what I like about this game. I had to do my part. You know what I'm saying? You play a game and it's so good, you're like, I have to do my part and I have to get the word out. Okay? And let people know how good this game is. Okay, so we're playing. I'm going to frame it first. Okay, so you guys know what I'm playing on, all that stuff. And I'm just going to go over the mechanics in the game. And maybe we can do a quest so you guys can see how a quest plays out in this game. But it is a dark fantasy, grid-based, tactical grid-based RPG. And, you're building up your party. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of Darkest Dungeon, right? So, let me just take you through this game, okay? So, I loaded it up. I saw it on the store, and I'm like, okay, King Arthur. I like King Arthur. I've read stories about the legend, all that good stuff. Okay, let me give it a shot. 20 bucks, give it a shot. RPG, grid-based, okay. I boot this up right here. I go to New Game. Click on New Game. I see roguelite mode. Your progress is automatically saved. There is no manual saving. Every decision, mistake, or death is permanent, okay? Iron Man mode, aka Iron Man mode. So right from the jump, I'm already pulled in because I'm like, okay, tactical RPG. And the skin of this game, right? The skin of a game is really important to me. Dark fantasy King Arthur. I was like, okay, this already has my attention. It's on sale, fuck it, right? New game, I get this right away. Iron Man mode's included in this game. Now I'm flying blind, okay? We're flying blind. So that's what makes this such a hit for me. We're flying blind. Boom, Iron Man mode. I click on this. The very next screen, I wasn't even sure if I was going to see difficulty levels. I don't see not 3 difficulty levels, not 4 difficulty levels, 5 difficulty levels. From story, so you can just get through everything, right? You just want to play it out, enjoy the mechanics, all the way through to very hard. Now, so to me, when you get the more difficulty levels, I mean, obviously, the more you can fine-tune your experience and kind of, find what works for you. Get in where you fit in, right? So I played on moderate, and honestly, I think I'm going to reboot my campaign and play on hard. But these 2 things right away, so actually 3 things. So right away, this game has 3 things going for it for me. And I haven't even started playing it yet. I look at the aesthetic, and I'm like, love it. The skin looks great. Iron Man mode, 5 different difficulties. And when I play a game like this, like when I play a game that has multiple settings for difficulty, I like to play one underneath the highest, because then I have something to punch up towards in the future. I do this with all my games. I'm like, okay, is there more than 3? Okay, cool. I'm gonna play on the 3rd so that I can move on to the 4th. So I always have something to come back to. I have one more challenge left after I play through the campaign, right? So right away, this game's already got. I'm already pulled in. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm gonna load up my file. Which again, I play on moderate. I think I'm just gonna reboot it. But I already played a few missions on moderate to get a feel for the game. And the game basically has 2 modes. Again, if you've played Darkest Dungeon, you have your city management where you're building up your territories, you're building up your resources, right? And then you have your actual adventuring where you go to the location and you fight it out, right? So this is how the game looks. You have your adventure map here. You have Camelot, which is where you start. By the way, you're playing as Mordred. So you're not playing as King Arthur. To reverse, you're playing as his nemesis, the great champion turned nemesis of Arthur, the one who contends for the right to rule Camelot. If you know the stuff, you don't have to know Arthur legends or anything like that. You don't really have to know about Avalon to enjoy the story. Let me just say that. But this is how it looks. So you have the overworld map. You click on locations. It kind of gives you an idea when you click on a location. There's like a little entry where he'll start to ramble a little bit.
A remote forest village.
Right here.
Upon ancient ruins has gone silent.
So it'll give you a little bit of reward. It'll give you a little sneak peek. Like we can get a hero if we go here, for example. But each location gives you a difficulty level, a reward for getting, for playing it out. The main ones are usually right there. There's a little skull indicator. Again, difficulty gives you a heads up. Now the Camelot, right? Managing your castle. This is okay. So I'll go through these a little bit, little by little. You have the round table, and every place, it's all about making your heroes stronger, upgrading them, giving them more passives, building stuff so that you can build better stuff. You've played these types of games probably in other things, right? The thing is, again, the theme works really well, and the heroes in this game are very interesting. Most of the time, games like this they have these things where you're building stuff, right? But the gameplay is kind of cookie cutter. The builds are kind of cookie cutter. This game is not like that at all. This game is like, it almost makes me feel like you're playing like a Warhammer game, and you're playing as Space Marines versus playing as Guardsmen, right? So, let me show you the heroes, for example. I mean, the main character, right? So, Mordred is, like I already talked about him, but your heroes are already completely overpowered in this game. Everybody already starts off really fucking strong. I mean, really strong. And you get that feeling through the gameplay, whereas sometimes you'll play a game and the devs will be like, well, yes, you're playing as King Arthur, you're playing as Mordred, but for gameplay reasons, we need to depower you. We need to depower you so that, it's kind of fair. This game's like, no. You're already, a god amongst men. You're already a Space Marine. You're not a Guardsman, to use 40k lore. You're not a regular Guardsman. You're already a Space Marine. You're already set up to start tearing through the enemies. Okay, all the characters are like that. They're all heroes of King Arthur, the Knights of the Round Table, that tale. All of them are like that. You have a couple of guys who are like, that I don't recognize. Maybe they're generic. But all heroes are very, very strong. And you're just cutting through fodder when you go to play a mission, right? But this is how a hero... actually, let's look at a regular character that's not Mordred. This is how a character actually looks. So every character's got a loyalty outside of Mordred. So you have vitality, hit points, armor, and then you have shield blocking for some characters. So potentially up to 3 layers of defense. I'm holding up 4 fingers. 3 layers of defense before you actually get down to vitality. Okay, so depending on your character, you might have a block chance if you're sword and shield. Then you have your armor, which absorbs some damage, which will break. Your armor will break, and then you won't, so damage starts to get higher and higher as your armor starts to wear out. Then you have your hit points, which are recoverable right away. And then finally you have vitality. If all your vitality's gone, then your character dies. There's permadeath in this game. Like you can just lose heroes, which is awesome, right? 3 layers of defense. 3 layers of defense. Then you hit your hit points. Every character's got traits in the game, right? That's another thing you can look at. So you can see right there, not only do you have a morality, which I'll talk about in a second, but you also have traits. And you can look at the traits as well, like break down all the traits and what they do. So for example, Sir Kay, which is, this guy's Arthur's seneschal in the legends and all that. He does actually fight and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. Because they usually portray him as kind of like a business guy. Um, anyway, you can see he's got a loyalty modifier. His loyalty is very high because of his ambitious trait. Sir Kay, being the Seneschal, he gets boosted loyalty from getting titles. So if you assign him to be a powerful position at the round table, his loyalty will actually go up more because he has the ambitious trait. He also has talented. Learning active skills costs one skill point per this hero, so he acquires skills faster. But he also has a negative trait, which is in red, stubborn, -1 loyalty when going on a mission without full vitality. So if you force him to participate in a mission and he's not fully healed up, he's going to be grumpy about it. His loyalty is going to take a hit. The penalties don't really seem so far. Again, I just started. I played like 5 missions. The penalties don't really seem that crazy difficult. They're not that severe. But I don't know if you can pick up negative penalties. I don't know if higher difficulties, the penalties are higher. If the traits are heavier, you know, the weight to the penalties are heavier. I really don't know. Like I said, I'm just spewing everything as much as I can about this game because it's so good. This game really hits like if you've played like board games, like dungeon delving board games, like Hero Quest, for example. That's one that everybody knows, where you just roll a character and they have a stat sheet, a character sheet, or Dungeons and Dragons, I guess. Let's go with D&D or Pathfinder, something like that. It kind of feels like that in a lot of ways. Like there's that much depth to it, right? But again, it's not generic. The builds in this game, the thing to me that elevates this game is stuff is just not generic. It's again, they're not afraid to just get crazy with abilities, with your heroes being insanely strong. So the challenge starts right there. It feels right away. The game's like, you're a space marine, and because you're a space marine, we're gonna throw hordes and hordes of Tyranids at you. That's how this game feels. It's like, yes, your characters are of legend. Literally, your characters are they're stepping out of the legends. That's who you're playing as. Okay? And because of that, we're just gonna throw the whole book at you. You know what I mean? We're not gonna hold back. It's just gonna be craziness. This is another character, Lady Drindain. You know, an archer archetype, but again, the traits are all different. Everyone's got different traits. Everyone's got a morality system. And it tells you right there, your damage, what I love is it feels like you're just rolling dice. It's kind of RNG. It does tell you your minimum and your maximum, but you don't know. And I love that because you have to have contingencies in place. Sometimes your plan depends on your character rolling high, and sometimes they just won't fucking roll high. You know, and now you have to scramble to save the fight, you know? I've already been in that spot a couple of times. So you have gear slots, and the gear slots are simple, but because they're simple, and I like when games do this, instead of giving me 10 different slots or 12 different slots, I'm thinking of like action RPGs, like a Wulong, for example, right? Or, you know, anything like that. Instead of giving me 10 or 12 different slots, they give you 6 slots. But the gear, every piece of gear has a ton of stuff on it. You know, there's a lot of different things available to it. So, for example, she's got the basic. Let's go to somebody who has got something that's not starting, right? Or let's just look through let's compare. So, for example, you have an attack weapon slot, armor slot, potion slot, accessories, and I think you have 2 accessory slots actually. One's like a ring, necklaces, and the other one's actual accessories, right? So we have stuff like Rune of Steel for one-handed weapons. This governs your attack. So one slot governs your attack, and the other slot governs your defense, whatever your armor is. So it's not like you're buying armor, you buy sigils in this game. So it'll tell you 22 health, 5 defense, -1 act because it's heavy armor. So -1 to your movement. And then it has a passive, plus 10% damage for 1 turn for each hit received. Plus 10% damage for 1 turn for each hit received. That effect right there is already far more interesting than most games will give you. Again, like 4 missions in. You find this like right away in the game. So this guy's Wrathful Sigil, he stacks damage up for taking hits. And he has Sword and Shield. So this is kind of like an offensive, like a Vanguard unit. Think of it like a Vanguard. Sir Mordred's kind of a Vanguard unit. You put him in a dangerous spot, and you don't have to, but that's how I'm playing him. You put him in a dangerous spot, and you just tank hits, so that when it's your turn, you can stack damage to hit them right back. And there's builds, from what I've seen so far, that help facilitate this. That's what I mean about what makes this game kind of stand out is the build variety. It's not just good, but generically boring at the very top. It's not like that. It's anything that, like, it facilitates. You'll be playing this game and you'll find a new piece of loot and you'll be like, this gives me a whole idea for something that I can do with somebody. I don't even know who yet, but just this piece of loot gives me so many ideas for something weird. This game allows you to just experiment and play like creative builds right away. Right away. Not later. Not in Act 4 when the game's about to be wrapped up. You know how you play games and they just fucking drop something? They drop something and you're like, oh, this is really cool for like New Game Plus, I guess. I hope I get to keep my items because this is a cool piece of loot and it gives me some ideas, but the game is almost over. This game doesn't do that. This game right away is like, boom, we're going to give you cool shit. We're going to give you the stuff that's just straightforward and to the point, but we're also going to give you cool shit so that you can just come up with whatever you want to come up with, right? So let's see. You have situational damage, like I love stuff like this. Skin Gouger Rune. +1 damage against unarmored units. So they have to be unarmored. It's situational. I love stuff like that. It's just like, it's not just this sword deals 1 extra damage compared to this sword. It's like, no, maybe sometimes this will be great. If you pick the right mission, because the missions tell you the enemy types, it'll tell you what kind of enemies you can expect in the mission. If you pick the right mission and you put your guy in the right spot and you scout out the battle before it starts, this will be insane. This could potentially settle the whole affair, right? With a little bit of elbow grease. You know, I like effects like this. Or this one, +2 damage against the Lost. So maybe it's kind of a basic weapon, but whenever you're fighting the Lost, this is what you want to reach for. You know, stuff like that. Like I said, the armor is like this. The accessories are... Okay, let me just show you the accessories that I've gotten so far. +1 damage during the first encounter after arrest. So when we get to the adventuring map, you have spots on the map where you can rest. You only get so many rests. It reminds me of Darkest Dungeon. You only get so many rests where you can kind of recuperate. Although, while I'm comparing it to Darkest Dungeon, let me say this is not as wild as Darkest Dungeon. It's not like the RNG isn't so crazy that you're sometimes like your run is just over like Darkest Dungeon. It's not that crazy. So I'm making the comparisons, but it's not as extreme. You know, Darkest Dungeon that's an extreme. That game is built from the ground up to be a roguelike, you know? Anyway, what else do we got? +10% block against ranged attacks, -1 damage received from ranged attacks. So this is just literally for a defender only, which would be him. This is to help you cover the ground on the battlefield. You see a group of 3 archers, this helps you cover the ground. Push up against them. Negates damage, helps you, +10% block. Again, 3 layers of defense, bro. 3 layers, that's so good. And it's not like elemental. It's not like it's all in these different directions, you know, like, oh, I have 3 layers of defense. I have some fire protection over here, and I have some acid protection. No, everything's fucking stacked on top of each other, you know? It's shield block. If shield block doesn't trigger, then my armor eats some of the damage, and then finally my hit points, if I have any remaining, that takes the last of the damage. And if there's no hit points left and there's no armor left, then finally my vitality is affected. Which vitality, of course, it takes time to heal. in between missions, you have to actually go rest at the hospice to restore your vitality. That's literally your life force, you know. But your hit points and your armor is just expendable currency, you know. Anyway, +5 angering trophy of fury, +5% damage until the end of the encounter for each hit received. So you see how this works with like the heavy sigil. You're again more ways to stack retribution. If I had a build, I would that's what I would say. I'd say this is the retribution build. You just deal back a ton of damage. And when you're playing Iron Man, this is my favorite stuff to do because you're playing fast and loose. It's like, oh, I'm banking that I'm going to take a ton of hits and I'm going to fucking be able to hit them back. You know, when you overdo that, then you put yourself in a spot where it's like my hero might die. I might just lose my hero and all the gear that I've given him, right? All right, like one more piece that I want to show off here. Okay, for the archer, marksman only, lucky charm of swiftness, +3 movement for the first turn of each encounter. I love extra movement in my games. Getting +3 movement for an archer is so great. It lets them get into position, like get set up or get out of trouble. You know, not every encounter you're going to know where the enemy starts, or when you start, sometimes you'll be ambushed. So being able to get your archer into cover, into a good spot is really good. And you can see on Dindrain, I don't know how to say it. Dindrain? Let's say lady. On the lady's loyalty, you can see that if you maximize her loyalty, if you get it past 15, she'll actually get more actions. +1 more action. So she gets damage +10%, damage +10%, and then the last one she'll get extra action. So you can stack actions with her to make her kind of like a fast-moving archer, kind of like a Legolas, right? So the gear in this game, it's just right away from the beginning, it's interesting gear. You give a shit about it. You're not like, oh, it's just a flat base increase. This was +2 damage. This one's +4. This was 3 armor. This is 5 armor. So I just equip, you know, set it and forget it. Set it and forget it. I hate set it and forget it in games like this. And there are games like this that tout themselves, they build themselves like this, but like I said, the loot, the build can make or break a game. I didn't even talk about the skills. Another thing, you get skills as you level up. You can see them over here. So you have masteries. So you unlock new abilities, and on each ability, you can see those little round circles there. You can unlock masteries to make them even more effective. So it's not just one skill that you get and you get the whole row. You also have to fine-tune them and choose masteries like you would in an action RPG. And there's more brackets. You can see 6 points unlocks tier 2 skills, 22 points unlocks tier 3 skills. So your characters are already insane, and they just get crazier and fucking crazier. This is a game that allows you to just, it feels to me like it, again, I'm like 4 missions in, but this is a game that's set up to allow you to just play the most insane shit that you can think of. You know, it's just like, listen, you can play it kind of on even keel, or you can break the shit out of it, or you can just play stupid builds, which is what I like. You can just play really dumb ideas that are just like, yes, we have to jump through 3 hoops to get this effect, but if we do get this effect, wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool if we did get that effect to go off? That's what I like. I like games that do this. Right away, man. I keep saying it, but it's true. So many games gate cool shit behind 20 hours of gameplay. This game doesn't waste any time. It's just like, here you go. Boom, boom, boom. Here's a bunch of stuff. Figure out what you can. Now, the morality system, which I didn't even talk about. There's also the morality system. This is broken up like this, like a cross, right? And it governs, it governs morality in the game, right? But it's more like, think of like what did Mass Effect call it? Like a Paragon versus Renegade, right? So in Arthur, you have a rightful ruler versus an oppressive tyrant on the bottom. You can see it. Rightful up top, tyrant on the bottom. But you also have the faiths, the 2 faiths. So you have Christian faith versus the old ways, the old faiths. You can see the little, what's it called? The Godhead. there on the left side versus the Christian cross on the right side, and you can see the lion up top versus the boar, the skewered boar on the bottom. And each of these gives you passives that dramatically can change how your playthrough goes. So your morality in the game, you'll have events that'll pop up in the game that'll ask you, hey, what do you want to do? And you choose what you want to do, and that gives you the morality points. So sometimes you have to think about, like, what do I get for this event? But also, what's it going to push me towards morality? Because your companions are all different. They all have their own different sets of beliefs. So your companions will either gain or lose loyalty based on the morality as well. So you have to think about this event. What's it going to give me? What is it going to give me if I choose this event? What's the immediate impact? Where is it going to move me along the morality chart? That's the second thing. And the third thing, probably the most important thing, how is it going to affect my team? How are they going to get upset? Because if your character's loyalties get too low, they take damage debuffs. You know, they don't deal as much damage, they don't fight as hard for you. So that's arguably the most important thing. But alongside this chart, you can see as you get closer, as you go up or further along one of the paths, you unlock special heroes that you can only get by following the morality alongside that chart. And I'm assuming the way the game is set, you can probably only go one or two different ways. You can probably only fill in like maybe 25% or maybe 50% of one of the whole chart. So if we head down towards the Tyrant, for example, we can unlock a mission that recruits the Black Knight or the Red Knight. If we go up towards the Rightful Ruler, we can get Sir Leodegrance, I don't know how to say his name, or Lancelot, which, I mean, everybody knows Lancelot. But you also have unique little bonuses alongside the path here, like Reforged Armor, which is a decree, 10% damage reduction to all heroes for the next battle. So to get that, you have to be of the Old Faith, and you also have to be along like the Rightful Monarch path, more noble Monarch path. Versus on the other side, you can go down the Tyrant path, and you can get something like Unyielding, plus 20% physical debuff resist to all Tyrant or Christian heroes. Wow, that's actually pretty cool. Physical debuff resistance to all Tyrant or Christian heroes. And then on the other side, I'm assuming, yeah, so even, like I said, the chart is like this. It's 4. So on the right side, you can be a Tyrant, but you can be a Christian Tyrant. A Christian Tyrant, okay? Versus on the left side, you could be a Tyrant, but you're a Tyrant of the old ways, of the old God, the old faith. You know what I mean? So you can be Old Testament God, right? Old Testament biblical God, fire and brimstone and everything, right? Or you can be New Testament Christian God, rightful Christian or tyrannical Christian. It's broken up into spheres. So there's just layers of stuff to do in this game, and it's so good. And I've seen this before. I'm sure you guys have seen this before. But again, the thing is that the way that the systems work, there's stuff to it where it actually matters. A lot of games offer kind of things like this, but the passives are just kind of meh. Every effect is just, you're just stacking these little incremental bonuses that really hardly amount to anything. This game is so far in the other direction. Like I said, it's just like, boom, here's extra action economy right away. You want to play like a Retribution character that's just eating up damage all day, and if he survives, he can swing back for 3 times the damage. Go ahead, we'll allow it, you know? And Camelot is full of upgrades. One thing I will say about the upgrades, like for example, the Hospice, right? This is where you send your character. If they take on an injury, you know, your characters can have injuries, which are permanent debuffs until they get attended to. Each area has upgrades, but for example, let's take the Hospice. It's all focused on healing. You can assign somebody to overlook the Hospice. Every castle has a spot for one of your heroes to be in charge of, to help you give a discount or something like that. Minimal effect. The main point is, each building using the Hospice, it's all for healing, right? And healing injuries, you can unlock slots, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing about stuff like this. I don't have to unlock anything in this building if I don't want to. Right? You have the merchant, the training ground, the crypt, the forge, the cathedral. You unlock whatever you want to. This is the game. The story in the game is not forcing you. You must unlock these features to progress in the story. You must get 3 out of 4 upgrades before you can proceed to the next part. No. This game's like, if you don't want to unlock something, don't fucking unlock it. And that's great, because that allows you to customize your run even further. I don't know, but, let's say the hospice, the healing is just too strong. What if I get all this stuff, let's say it trivializes healing in the game, right? Let's just say, I don't know, but let's just say, okay, well, I don't have to get all that stuff. Maybe I just get the basic slots. You see up there, we have 1 hero that can stay in the hospice to heal, and we have 3 spots open to have to be unlocked, right? So let's just say, for the sake of argument, that with those 4 spots, it becomes trivial to heal everybody. It's too efficient, it's too good, with everything stacked. Well, I don't have to do that. I don't have to unlock all those spots. What if I just want to make a run myself where I'm just like, you know what? Only 2 spots open in the hospice. Limited healing run, right? Limited heals. You can put your own modifiers in this campaign, in this game, because it doesn't force you to unlock everything. And a lot of games don't do that. A lot of games are like, no, you must get everything. You must engage with these extra things, right? With these, you must at least get all this stuff unlocked before you start. This game's like, no, unlock whatever you want. Whatever you want to do. If you don't want to unlock it, you don't want to. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. Now you want to get everything and right away and get your experience, but I could see myself definitely modifying stuff. The merchant is awesome. I mean, again, you can assign somebody, like I assigned a lady up there. She gives you minus 10% cost to everything, which I feel like is essential because it's the merchant. I want to roll gear. I want to take the chance that the merchant rolls me some good gear. But you can also upgrade your armor here. You can reduce the cost of things, increase how often stuff refreshes, how much stuff he carries. These are all stuff that you've seen in other games, but the thing that ties it together is, again, the loot, the upgrading, the build variety is really fucking spot on. And the skin of the game. A lot of games, there's probably games out there that do stuff like this, but again, for me, dark fantasy, Arthur feel, it's King Arthur, it's excellent. Alright, so let's start a mission.
A remote forest village built upon ancient ruins.
We've already been talking for like 20 minutes, it feels like, but I'm trying to cram everything all my thoughts about this game into like one video.
There are also rumors of a terrible ancestral curse. The walls birthing eyes, and everybody succumbing.
So I'm playing Iron Man, so this is my first time seeing this mission. So we'll do a little bit of it just to show you guys how it works. And, right now it's on sale for $20. It might be even cheaper. I don't know. This is on PlayStation. I should have said that right away. But this game's been out for a couple of years. They just got a new version. Another, a new game in the series called Legion, where you can play as the famous Roman legion that I forgot what they were called, but they were a famous legion that got lost in Britannia. And the game looks great, man. I mean, it looks... So you start off exploring, like you don't immediately drop down into like a battle. You'll walk around a little bit. There'll be some areas to explore. Then you'll get pulled into the fight. And then after each fight, there'll be opportunities to keep exploring, finding stuff. There's optional encounters during a mission that you can take and not take. Anyway. Who's this guy? Sir Ector. Oh, I can't see the modifier because of my camera. Usually you can see the modifier right here, so you can see damage and all that stuff that the enemies can do, but I think we're fighting basic undead, so I should be okay. Lost commoner, weapon damage between 1 to 3. So, grid-based movement, you have your action points on the bottom. If you played like pretty much any RPG recently that's turn-based, a Larian game, Baldur's Gate, the Divinity series, stuff like that, it's mostly standard of fare. It's just the systems and the variety in how you can play in this game that makes it so good. You know, it's you have to try it. You know, this company, they should have really put out a demo or something, because I've seen this game in the store before and I just haven't got it, because to me I was just like, well, it looks all right, but you know, it doesn't convey how good it is. You know. And by the way, guys, I do have the audio turned down, so if you can't hear anything, like in terms of in-game, I just have the audio turned down. So if it sounds kind of muffled, or if it sounds like there's nothing, like, hey, I can't hear anything actually in the game, it's just that's just on my end right now. So for example, two-handed characters, they hit really fucking hard. They have cleave, which lets them hit AoE, right? Hit a couple squares at once. But they need more actions to attack than sword and shield characters. Sword and shield characters need 3 actions to attack. Two-handed characters need 4 actions to attack. And you can see it right here on the window on the bottom. So you can see the little diamonds right there. But just on the regular, their damage is just much, much higher than sword and shield, of course. But, you know, more actions to attack. So you have to be more methodical with them. Sometimes they're a little bit slower, not as much armor, you know, the trade-offs. You can also bank your points in this game with reserve, so you can carry over some of your act into the next round. And there's this really cool thing now with her. Remember, she has the charm, which, let me see, what's the button to look at? No, that's not the button. I feel like I know there's a button for gear here. Alright, anyway, we know that she has the charm that gives her +3 act, so you can see the 3 yellow diamonds on the bottom. So she has a lot of extra activation. Right now she's got 11 activation. Now, they didn't give her 4 extra act right away, because that's a whole extra attack action. But that 3 is good, like I said, just for getting into position, so she can start firing. She can start two-shotting right away. I'm going to move her up. And she's got 2 abilities, fire arrows, and shoot. We're just going to shoot. 9 damage. She tends to roll really high. Even though her damage modifier is between 5 to 9, she's just been killing it. 8, 9 damage all the time. Alright, that's it for her. End her turn. Oh, reserve. Next person.
Fight for honor.
You can take your turn order however you want. Okay, I think that's everybody. Yep, everyone's out of actions. And the turn. These are generic undead, so they're not that strong. Although I just noticed that extra NPC hero, he doesn't have any armor. So he's just taking the hits. So you can see like 2 health meters. Oh, there's more undead coming. 2 health meters, right? You have your health, you have your vitality, and you also have your armor. You can see them for the little helmets. So above Mordred right there, you can see the 5 little helmets. This guy doesn't have any. I guess he's a caster. I haven't had a caster yet. So he's got to be the recruitable hero. Sir Ector. That's probably why he's got no extra armor. He doesn't have that layer of defense. Okay, this is an opportunity to cleave right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Mordred. I'm going to cast Stigma. It's going to make them vulnerable. 20% vulnerability for 1 turn. Cast it on the big fellow back there. Move up.
Too late to run now.
Move up, King. Oh yeah, he was already engaged with them, so that's an opportunity attack. Alright, we're gonna try to cleave. Cleave diagonally, that should hit all three. So it shows you the minimum damage, but you can roll a lot higher than that. So you can see the bar flashing, that's the minimum amount, which is 9 damage. Awesome. One more will do it. Now, one of the cool things too in the game is you can do Overwatch. What Overwatch lets you do, it lets you cover an area. So you can bank all of your action points enough to do an attack and just take a stance. In other games, it's called Vigilance. So you're basically guarding an area, and whenever the enemy advances onto a hex next to you, you get a free hit. So it lets you play this style where you like kind of sit back and just use Overwatch, bank your points, let the enemy come to you, and then you get a free hit. As soon as they step onto your hex, you get a free hit. And there's effects that increase your damage if you're playing Overwatch. So there's effects that just lean into this whole mechanic. So I'm going to put him on Overwatch, and you can see the purple. So if any of those two zombies back there stumble onto that hex, it'll trigger him to hit him first. Which is like, sometimes it can matter because you can set these guys up to die. So when they get here, he gets the hit, he kills them. And Sir Balin, for example, he has an ability where he has rage. He has enrage. Every time he gets a kill, he starts to get 10% more damage. And it keeps stacking. So, I'm going to have her shoot this guy. That's going to soften him up. If he steps up here, he'll trigger his Overwatch, which if he gets the kill, which he should kill him, that'll trigger enrage, so that'll give him an attack bonus. And the system's just, everything just feeds into each other, man. It's so good. Alright, I think that's everybody. And the turn.
For the round table.
Oh, the other guy did, but he still cut him down. He rolled 14, which I think was his highest roll. This guy's getting mauled to death. He's losing health now, which is terrible. Use the... What was that? He drank? See, he's not part of my party, so I can't see what he can do. But he drank a potion, and then he threw the potion at them. At least that's what it looked like. Or maybe he used Force Bolt.
For king and country.
So now his attack is buffed at 13 to 17 because he cut the other guy down. So you can see, let me see. Can I pull up the window a little bit? No, he doesn't have the enrage modifier for some reason. Maybe I'm thinking of the other guy. It might be Sir Kay who has enrage. Let's see.
I am ready.
Yeah, it's Sir Kay who has rage right now. 10% stackable weapon damage for 2 turns after every kill. So you can just set these guys up to go on a killing spree, basically. They can snowball. You can build a character just to snowball damage.
Your command?
That's it. It's everybody.
Knights of the Round Table, the Lord Almighty heard my prayers.
And this is a side quest, by the way. You don't even have to do this.
In the flesh, master of arcane arts, keeper of secrets. A terrible curse was unleashed. The ignorant peasants built pigsties upon sacred ground, where heroes were laid to rest. Indeed, I arrived with soldiers, but now I'm the last to stand against the darkness. This
Join our
village
ranks.
should be cleansed in the name of the Lord with fire and steel.
It shall be done. Let's go. Alright, so now we have a 5th companion.
Good to see you again, Father. It's been a long time since we fought side by side.
I had no idea that's his father.
Son,
This is not the reunion we were both hoping for.
What's going on here?
The less you know, the better. All I ask is that you don't judge my actions too quickly.
Uh-oh. New objective, break the undead plague. So let's see. If we look at the mini-map, oh, wow, this is a big map. I didn't know the maps get this big. So looking at the map right here, you can see the points where there's going to be an encounter, the flags. And you can also see the campfires. So the campfires allow you to rest. And usually when you go to rest, you have to choose an action. You can either restore some HP or you can restore your armor. There's also shrines. There's treasure to find. There's extra encounters that are not marked on the map that you can take on. Let's do one more. Let's do one more battle so I can show off the campfire. Look at this. This is what. This is just so cool. Like I said, Space Marines and Tyranids. You know what I mean? Your characters are just super strong. They have all the cool stuff, but there's just legions and legions of enemies. Alright, so we're going to take up... I'm going to try and set up an Overwatch position here. I'm going to have her start shooting right away.
For the Lord Almighty.
She's going to shoot twice, and then I'm going to move her behind him.
Your Highness?
Because there's so many of the dead,
I fight for honor.
I'm gonna try not to move too far out. I want everyone here to be able to bank Overwatch points, so everybody can just start striking the dead if they start targeting towards our archer. This guy's new. I haven't used him. Ranged spell that deals 110% weapon damage and knocks back the target. Damage is 13 to 16. See, that's strong enough to one-shot these guys. The range is 9. So he's got to move up at least 1 or 2 hexes. Okay. That should be good enough to get a hit. Easy. Okay, let's watch the enemy.
Bastard hit me.
There's one Overwatch trigger. 2 blocks. He's got a 30% chance to block, and he just blocked 2 of them. And it's still really early in the campaign, so these enemies are still pretty basic. You know, it's just shambling corpses right now. But I'm assuming that as the game goes on, you're going to start to get enemies that have their own layers of defense. They have their own special effects and stuff. Probably ringleaders that buff other units. You know, stuff like that. Big guy in the middle, the brute. Bleeding immunity, poison immunity. That makes sense.
Taste my blade.
Take him out first. We're just going to move up a little bit and sit down Overwatch.
Sinners shall bleed.
Line of sight is a thing, so I don't know if I can hit him. Nope, he's gonna hit him. He's gonna hit Mordred if he does that. Okay, hit the archers then. Oh yeah, also the undead can reanimate after a couple of turns. So this corpse, we killed him, but we have 3 turns before he reanimates. So we have to actually hit him again, which is a pretty cool mechanic. Because it's something to think about. If you can't end the fight quickly, if it takes you too long to end the fight, then you'll have to fight some of these enemies twice. And because of the campaign, you know, because you're playing Iron Man and stuff, it's important to try to avoid damage as much as possible. Like, you can kind of get into this thing. It used to happen to me with Darkest Dungeon, where you go do a mission, and you did not get stronger. Because the resources that you had to spend to recoup, to rejuvenate everybody outside of the mission, because you took so much damage, you end up staying in the same spot. And the game's getting harder because it's like, hey, you played that mission, you got all this loot and stuff, but you have to sell it, spend that money to heal people up, and now it's on to the next mission. So the difficulty's ramping up and you stayed in the same spot. We gotta get that archer. I wonder if
Sinners shall bleed.
how many 6 action points? So he's got 3 to move. 1, 2 right here. Perfect. The only thing that sucks about that bolt is that it has knockback. And against these enemies, knocking them back when they're going to rejuvenate just makes it more difficult to go get them, you know? I love that she moves out of the... Like, normally this would be blocking line of sight, but she actually moves out of her hex to take the shot and then moves back into her hex. That's so nice. I wish more games did that. A lot of games are just like, nope, you can't make the shot. There's blocking terrain, you can't make the shot. I might as well keep moving. Get right on top of this guy. I wonder if they get a penalty for being, No, okay. Sometimes archers get a debuff if they're engaged in melee, up close and personal, you know? But not in this game. Alright, we just gotta cut him down and that should end the mission. I mean the encounter.
Lord have mercy upon their soul.
Save successful.
Oh, yeah.
Before I speak, I demand your protection, knights. That bloody madman in your ranks, Sir Ector.
You are accusing a man of honor. Watch your mouth, deserter.
I refused to kill innocent people for some ritual. The others didn't, and everything turned into shit.
Die, traitor. What are you staring at? You must be wondering why he called me a traitor.
Yeah, you just killed him.
I'm not ready for the truth. But trust me, everything I do it for Camelot.
Oh
You've gone
boy.
soft in Avalon, Sir Ector. That's for certain.
Alright, so the optional hero here that we're gonna get, he seems to have done some questionable deeds, and I'm not even talking about the crossbowman. Now I'm curious to know what the fuck he did. Usually when you do these missions too, at the end it'll give you an option like what is the fate that you want to give this person, this extra person. So at the end of the mission we'll probably have a choice too, where it'll be like, do you want to recruit this guy, or do you want to execute him or cast him out, or what do you want to do with him? Anyway, so the campfire, they're single use, and you know, you get a resting action. Restore HP, not vitality. Not vitality. So if your vitality gets hurt in this game, again, the hospice, your adventurers literally have to sit out missions. So if you use a guy too much, you put him in a dangerous spot, he might have to sit out a couple missions resting. Because you can't restore vitality. It's the most difficult stat to restore. So you can restore HP, and it'll show you right there 50% HP or 50% of your armor. I'm going to go armor. And then once you use it, it's used
refreshed.
up. And you only have a couple. You can, thankfully, the game shows you like how many campfires you have. So you can kind of plan out your route. You see? You can plan out your route. You can say, we've got this many encounters, this many campfires. Let's go this way And you can also kind of push your luck, where it's like, we can rest, but let's just push our luck so that we get more bang for our buck when we finally do use the campfire. So there's, you know, it's so good. Because the whole game feels like that to me. It feels very much like a push your luck, risk versus reward. More risk, more reward. It's just... And like the 5 difficulty levels, again, you can just turn it down. Like if it's too much or if it's too... if the encounters get too difficult, you can always just turn it down.
I was not a warrior in Britannia, but the Lord had other plans for me in Avalon, and I couldn't be happier about that.
Rune for 2-handed weapons and 78 gold. Okay, alright guys, I think I'm going to call it here. I think I covered most of the basics for this game. So yeah, I might stream this game. I might start streaming it or something. I think it's, again, this game is just a huge surprise for me. I had no idea it was going to be this good. I was expecting to just enjoy like a really, really simple tactical grid game with a King Arthur skin on it. You know, that's what I was jumping in for. I didn't know it was gonna have so many layers to it. So again, the biggest thing is having an Iron Man, having permadeath really gives you that option to have gravity to all your decisions when you're playing. But outside of that, the build variety in this game and the way that all the systems roll with each other, everything connects. Nothing feels like it's just kind of left out there. Everything helps to work with everything else. And you can make your build so that they all feed into each other. You know? So, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Just, you know, to time this, when I played this game, it is May of 2025, right? We're in like the busiest 2 months of the year for gaming right now. There's been a lot of hit releases. A lot of hit releases are coming out, and this is what has my mind, you know, my attention, is this game right now. We've got like Expedition 33, Doom: The Dark Ages, and Onimusha 2 Remaster. What else has come out? Oblivion Remaster, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remaster. All these big releases in like 2 months. And this game has my attention. I'm constantly thinking about my builds and getting home and upgrading a building and trying to tweak and work with ideas and what heroes am I going to get next. And I mean, it's, I want to say a masterpiece, like near masterpiece. So it's on sale right now for $20. I highly recommend it. They just put out a new story, or I should say a new standalone game in their series, the Legion X or Legion 9, I think it is. The Roman Legion that got lost in Britannia. I think the idea is that they got lost in Britannia and they ended up in Avalon. I think that's the idea of that game. I haven't checked it out yet, but that's the newer version. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Until then, take care, everybody.